if you wish to continue this journey of discovery. Since ancient times, mankind has sought to understand the mysteries of the universe and the nature of the Creator. The name of God has always been one of the most sacred and respected secrets in all spiritual traditions. The scriptures show us that He revealed Himself to Moses in a unique way, giving him a name that not only confirmed his existence, but carried a deep meaning, a direct connection to the divine purpose. However, as the centuries passed, this name was forgotten, replaced by generic titles, and in some cases even distorted, so that its true essence was hidden. But what really happened? Why has such a powerful name ceased to be spoken? There might be something in that name that changes the way we connect spiritually. If we look carefully in the scriptures, we will see that names in the Hebrew tradition were not just labels to designate someone or something. They carried identity, destiny, and essence. A name could define a future, reveal a mission, and even completely change a person's destiny. This is why throughout the Bible we see instances of God changing the names of people, such as Abraham to Abraham, Jacob to Israel, and Simon to Peter. Each time this happened, it was not just a symbolic change, but a sign of a profound transformation, affecting not only that person, but generations to come. If this applies to humans, imagine the impact of the divine name. Moses, when he asked God what is his name, he received an answer that became one of the greatest theological mysteries in history. I am what I am. But this is really the full meaning of what he was told. Many scholars state that the original Hebrew expression has a much greater depth, something that can only be understood by those who are spiritually prepared for this truth. Some believe that God was revealing much more than meets the eye, something that could not be directly translated without losing some of its meaning. Most intriguingly, at numerous times in the Bible, we see indications that God's name was not only known, but actively used in situations of great spiritual power. Prophets uttered this name to perform miracles. Priests pronounced it in sacred moments, and Jesus himself alludes to it, suggesting that this knowledge was fundamental for those who wanted to understand the deepest truths of the kingdom of God. If this name was so important, why was it dropped from tradition over the centuries? The answer may be found in how spiritual knowledge has been treated throughout history. Whenever a great revelation is discovered, there are forces that try to protect it, but also forces that try to hide it, fearing that it might fall into the wrong hands or be used irresponsibly. This may be why God's name was spoken less and eventually forgotten, but it protected this decision. Really this name, or has it just distanced us from something essential to our spiritual connection? If we go back in time and analyze the history of civilizations, we see that many ancient cultures believed in the power of sacred names. In ancient Egypt, it was believed that knowing the true name of a deity or person gave you power over them. In certain Eastern traditions, certain sounds and words are considered sacred because they are believed to have a vibration capable of altering the spiritual and even physical states of those who utter them. If this is true for other cultures, why not for the biblical tradition? Today, science is beginning to better understand the impact of sound and vibration on the material world. Studies show that certain frequencies can influence our brains, our bodies, and even how we interact with reality. If an ordinary sound can have this effect, imagine a name that, according to the scriptures, was used to create all things. The idea that God brought the universe into existence through the Word shows us that there is something in sound that is beyond our rational understanding. And if the lost name of God has a unique frequency, a sound that, when pronounced correctly, opens doors to spiritual realities that most people do not even suspect. It is no coincidence that many mystical and esoteric traditions have tried to reclaim this name over the centuries. There are records of secret groups, who have spent generations trying to find the correct pronunciation, believing it could give them access to extraordinary power. Some of these attempts were based on linguistic reconstructions, while others followed spiritual paths, seeking direct revelations through mystical experiences. What is certain is that this search has never stopped. Something inside humanity has always known that this name has a far greater significance than what we have been told. And what about the prophecies indicating that this name will be restored in the last days? Numerous Bible passages mention that in the end times, God will be known to all nations and his name will be exalted again. This suggests that somehow this knowledge will become accessible again, and those who are spiritually prepared will be able to understand its true essence. Are we living in that moment now? We are about to witness the restoration of that name and all that it stands for. If this is true, then the search for the lost name of God is not just a mere historical curiosity, but a call for spiritual awakening. It is an invitation for each of us to deepen our connection with the Creator, seeking not only to learn the sound of this name, but to understand what it truly means for our lives. Perhaps the real secret of this name lies not only in its correct pronunciation, but in living it in every aspect of our existence. And now I want to know your opinion. Do you think this name will be restored in the last days? Since ancient times, God's name was shrouded in mystery, respect, and reverence. Many religious traditions believe that this name is not just a set of letters or a pronounced sound, but something much deeper, something that carries within itself the very essence of the Creator. Biblical accounts show that every time God's name was invoked correctly, extraordinary things happened. Miracles, healings, deliverances, and supernatural manifestations. They were common among those who understood the importance of this name and spoke it with faith. But as the centuries passed, this name was obscured, replaced by titles and phrases that, while full of reverence, no longer carry the same force as the original name. If we go back to the Old Testament period, we will see that the divine name was a well-kept secret. Only the high priest was allowed to speak it, and this happened only once a year, at a sacred time for the Israelites. This name was more than just a word. It was a portal to a direct connection with God, the ultimate symbol of his presence and power. But as time passed, the exact pronunciation was lost, and the name was gradually replaced by titles such as Adonai and Elohim. What caused this change? Was it just an expression of respect, or was there something deeper behind this decision? What we do know is that in the spiritual world, knowledge has always been contested territory. The Bible teaches us that there are forces that try to prevent the revelation of truth, because truth liberates, transforms, and brings light. And if the lost name of God is one of these hidden truths, hidden to prevent mankind from gaining access to uncontrollable power, if this name is so powerful, why was it deliberately forgotten? Scholars of biblical language say that the sacred tetragrammaton formed by the letters X and W is one of the last traces we have of the sound identity of this name. However, because these letters do not contain vowels in the original Hebrew script, the exact pronunciation has been lost over time. Several attempts have been made to reconstruct it, and today there are several hypotheses about how this name should be pronounced. But the most intriguing aspect is not only the phonetic issue, but also the fact that simply pronouncing this name correctly could have profound spiritual effects. Think of the impact of this if the universe was created by the Word of God. If He brought all things into existence through sound, then it is logical to believe that His name carries a special vibrational frequency. Modern science has begun to study the effects of sound on matter, and the findings are amazing. Certain frequencies can alter physical structures, reorganize molecules, and even influence emotional and mental states. This leads us to a fundamental question, and if God's name is more than just a word, but a sacred frequency, a sound that, when spoken correctly, aligns our being with the Creator. Hebrew tradition suggests that the divine name was to be treated with extreme care. Certain ancient rabbis taught that mispronouncing this name could produce negative effects. For this reason, over the centuries, it became a common practice to replace it with other terms that expressed reverence without revealing the original sound. But this decision led to an unexpected consequence. Over the generations, the true pronunciation has been forgotten, and today many do not even know that this name was once spoken clearly and audibly. What happens when such a powerful name ceases to be used? Does this affect how we spiritually connect with God? If we look in history, we see that many of the great spiritual awakenings took place when people began to seek God with intensity, calling on His name. If this pattern repeats itself, then it is logical to believe that discovering and pronouncing this name correctly could open the doors to deeper divine manifestations in our lives. There is evidence that certain Jewish communities still keep this secret, and that certain groups of researchers are dedicated to restoring the exact pronunciation of the sacred name. But there are those who believe that this secret will not be fully revealed until God Himself decides to reveal it again. This leads us to an interesting reflection. Are we close to that moment? We live in prophetic times where ancient secrets are being brought to light. If we look at how humanity has rediscovered certain spiritual and scientific truths, we see that we live in an age of revelation. Many truths that were hidden in the past are beginning to be revealed, and this includes a deeper understanding of the Scriptures. In some Bible prophecies, there are clear references to a time when God's name will be known among all nations. We may be witnessing this great moment of spiritual awakening, but most of all, we are prepared for what is to come. If the lost name of God contains a secret that can completely transform our connection with the Creator, then this truth should not be treated as a mere historical curiosity. It must be sought with humility, reverence, and right intention. Perhaps the real secret of this name is not only in the way we say it, but in the way we understand it and live it. Jesus taught us that true worship is not just in words, but in spirit and truth. This means that more important than figuring out the exact pronunciation is understanding what this name represents and allowing its truth to transform our lives. The restoration of this name could be more than a historical event. It could be a call for a profound change in the way we live and relate to God. Now, I want to know your opinion. Do you think this name will be revealed in our day? Write in the comments. I want to know the name. If you feel this quest has a greater purpose. Also, share your thoughts on this mystery and what you think might happen when this name is restored. If there is one thing that has crossed the ages, arousing curiosity, fascination, and reverence, this is the lost name of God. With each new revelation, with each new research, and with each spiritual experience, we seem to be getting closer to the truth of this mystery. But we are really ready to understand what this means. God's name is not just a set of letters or a sound uttered by the lips. He carries the essence of the Creator, a power that transcends human understanding. It has been hidden over the centuries, but not completely gone. It is present in ancient texts, in the whispered prayers of those who still believe there is something sacred in this knowledge, waiting for the right moment to be restored. Looking at history, we see that there is something very interesting in the way certain knowledge is revealed. God never poured, behold, all truth upon mankind at once. He gives us small parts, fragments, preparing ourselves to be able to absorb each new revelation without getting lost on the way with His name. It seems that something similar was revealed to Moses, but with a built-in mystery. It has been mentioned thousands of times in the Scriptures, but it was hidden out of fear, respect, or maybe for an even deeper reason that we still can't fully understand. What is clear is that if there is anything that can lead us to a deeper connection with God, it is understanding the essence of His name and what He represents to each of us. And if this name is closer than we imagine, if it was never really lost, but just laid aside, waiting for someone to look for it with the right motivation. After all, Jesus taught us, "Ask, and it shall be given to you. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and it will be open to you." The Creator Himself invites us to seek Him, and this includes the desire to truly know Him. Throughout the Bible, we see that God does not reveal Himself to those who are indifferent or who seek only out of curiosity. He manifests Himself to those who seek Him with all their hearts. Therefore, this search cannot be only intellectual. It can't just be about finding the correct pronunciation. It must be accompanied by a sincere desire to draw closer to God, to understand His character, will, and love. The question many ask is, what happens when this name is invoked? If He really carries a special power, what are the implications of this for humanity? Is there any difference between calling God by a title and invoking His true name? Many spiritual traditions talk about the power of words, how certain sounds have frequencies that can transform the reality around us. If there is a name that carries the divine essence, does it make sense for it to have a real effect in both the spiritual and physical worlds? Did those who tried to hide it know this? Was there an intention to distance humanity from this knowledge, to prevent us from having access to something so powerful? We know that throughout history, many seekers have tried to unravel this mystery. Some followed scientific paths, trying to reconstruct the exact pronunciation based on linguistic studies. Others followed spiritual paths, believing that true revelation would come through prayer and a direct connection with God. There are also those who claim that this name will only be restored in the last times, when all things will be fulfilled. If this is true, we are close to that moment. Is God preparing a new outpouring of knowledge for those who are ready to receive this revelation? What we do know for sure is that this is not some subject, not one that can be treated superficially or irreverently. We are talking about something that can transform lives, that can open doors to a new understanding of divine purpose and our relationship with Him. If there is a name that carries the essence of God, then this name has a deep meaning for each of us. And more than that, it can be the key to deeper spiritual experiences, to a more vivid faith, and to a greater intimacy with the Creator. Regardless of how this name will be restored, there is something we can do right now. Let's seek God sincerely. Let's open our hearts to Him and ask Him to guide us on this journey. We may not have all the answers yet, but we can take a step in the right direction. We can begin to prepare our spirit for what God wants to reveal to us. If there is one thing the Bible teaches us, it is that God reveals Himself to those who truly desire Him, to those who thirst for the truth. He hides nothing from those who are willing to seek Him with all their heart. At this point, I want to invite you to a deep reflection. If we talk about the most important name of all, He who can open ways and bring change, then we must prepare ourselves spiritually to receive Him. It is not enough just to know it. We must be prepared to live this truth. So let's make a commitment right now. Take a moment to pray. Ask God for wisdom and revelation. If you feel that this message has spoken to you, if something in you is crying out for more knowledge and a greater closeness to God, then this is the time to position yourself. Before I close, I want to extend a special invitation to you. If this message touched your heart, if you feel that you must continue this journey, then press the like button on this video. Subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any future revelations. And in the comments, I want you to write something very special. Write, "I want to know this name." This will be a sign that you are committing to seek more of God, to go deeper into this journey. Your interaction here is very important. because together we form a community of truth seekers, people who want more than just superficial knowledge. So, I'm waiting for you in the comments. I want to know how you felt listening to this message, and if you haven't shared this video with someone yet, please do so now, because this may be the life-changing revelation for someone who needs to know more about God. If you've come this far, it's because there's something inside you that's crying out for more. It is not just a passing curiosity. It is not just a momentary interest. It is a calling, a deep desire to connect with something greater, to understand a mystery that has been hidden for centuries but has never ceased to exist. God has never hidden. He never left us. It is we who over time have drifted away, allowed ourselves to be distracted, allowed the most powerful truths to be overshadowed by layers of tradition, fear, and, in many cases, manipulation. But now the revelation is before us. The lost name of God is not just information. It is not a theory or an abstract concept. It is the key that can open a new level of understanding, a path to something that many have sought but few have found. During this journey, I saw how the name of God was treated with reverence, how it was taken out of common use so as not to be profaned, but also how this almost led to its complete disappearance from human knowledge. What should have been preserved ended up being forgotten. What was supposed to be a sacred secret has become a mystery that few dare to ask. But now something is happening. People all over the world are beginning to feel a burning desire to understand this truth. There is an awakening, a movement that cannot be ignored, and you are part of it. If everything I've said so far makes sense to you, if something in you resonates with this message, then you've already begun to understand that this is no ordinary quest. This is a divine calling, an invitation to go beyond the surface, to penetrate into something that can transform your faith, life, and connection with God. Have you ever wondered why so many prophets, apostles, and followers of God experienced supernatural manifestations? What was different in the way they related to the Creator? What did they know? What were they practicing? What made them so intimate with Him? The answer is in the world. When we know someone's name, we learn something more about their identity. It's not just a label. It is not just a way of calling someone, but an expression of who that person really is. God did not reveal His name to Moses by accident. He knew that by doing so, He was giving away part of His identity. He was building a bridge between Himself and His people. And now we are facing the same opportunity. Can we continue to live without this revelation, or can we seek it with all our hearts? The most impressive thing is that throughout history, there have always been people who tried to recover this knowledge, some for selfish reasons, seeking power and control. Others, sincere, eager to get closer to God. And there are those who believe that this name was never truly lost, but was always present, waiting for those prepared to understand it. Is this the generation that will finally see this revelation? Are we living in a prophetic time when God is restoring ancient truths, bringing light to what was hidden? If we look at the signs of the times, we will see that something different is happening. The world is changing. The way people seek God is changing. There is a cry for something real, for something that goes beyond empty words, beyond meaningless rituals. The truth is manifest, and those who have ears to hear, those who have eyes to see, realize that something great is about to happen. And this leads us to a fundamental question. How should we prepare for this revelation? The Bible teaches us that God does not give His truths to those who despise them. He reveals Himself to those who sincerely seek Him, to those who really want to know Him. This means that this journey is not just about knowledge. It is not just about finding the correct pronunciation or deciphering an ancient code. It is about the heart, about the willingness to live in alignment with God, because it is not enough just to know His name. We must live in obedience, in holiness, in communion with Him. God's name is not a magic formula. It is not a lucky charm. It is sacred and can only be understood by those who are prepared to honor it properly. And that is precisely why, now more than ever, we must pray. We must turn to God and ask Him to open our eyes, to guide us in this search, to show us what we do not yet understand. This is not a journey we can take alone. It is not just human reasoning, but divine revelation. If you want to know more, if you want to go further, then it is time to stand before God and ask Him to take you deeper, to show you the truth, to allow you to experience His presence in a way that you have never experienced before. Now, I want to invite you to a commitment. If you feel that this message has spoken to you, if you believe that this quest has a purpose, then I want you to do two things. First, write in the comments, "I am ready for this revelation." This will be a sign that you want to continue this journey, that you are open to what God wants to reveal to you. Second, share this video with someone, because this truth doesn't have to stay with you. There are many people who need to hear this message, many who are still in the dark, who do not even imagine that something so profound is about to be restored. And finally, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do it now. Turn on the bell so you don't miss any content, because we're just getting started on this journey. Please like this video, as it helps spread this message to more people. You will be surprised by the biblical revelations about the beginning of all things, and you will understand something that few know. Click and continue this journey of biblical knowledge right now.